Have you ever held an earthworm? That wriggling, squishy feeling can be a bit surprising, can't it? That damp, slimy feel is crucial for their survival. It's not just a quirk of nature, it's essential for how they breathe. Earthworms don't have lungs. Unlike us, they don't have specialized organs to pull oxygen from the air. They breathe through their skin, a process called cutaneous respiration. It's a fascinating adaptation that allows them to thrive in their underground world. Oxygen dissolves in the mucus on their skin. This thin layer of moisture acts as a bridge, allowing the oxygen to make its way into their bodies and passes into their bloodstream, a network of vessels that carries the oxygen throughout their entire body. Carbon dioxide exits the same way. It's a two-way street with oxygen coming in and carbon dioxide going out, all through their skin. But if their skin dries out, they can't breathe at all. They become completely unable to absorb the oxygen they need to survive. Now, imagine putting these skin-breathing creatures, so reliant on moisture, into a sealed glass jar, a closed environment, cut off from the outside world. The air inside is limited, a finite resource within our glass container. Once the lid is on, that's all the oxygen they get. No more fresh air can enter, and the worms are dependent on what's already there. How long can they survive? What factors will influence their ability to live in this closed world? What happens as the oxygen runs out? How will the environment inside the jar change over time? We're not just sealing worms in a jar, we're setting the stage for a fascinating experiment. We're creating a tiny, self-contained ecosystem, a miniature world where life, death, and decay all play out. Our jar will have soil, the foundation of our little world, moss, adding a touch of green and helping to retain moisture, and earthworms, the recyclers and aerators of our miniature ecosystem, all interacting in a closed environment. A delicate balance of life, all within the confines of a glass jar. It's a miniature Earth, a microcosm of the larger world around us, a biosphere in a bottle, a self-sustaining system, or at least that's the goal. By watching, we'll learn how life, in its simplest forms, air, the very breath of life, and resources are balanced, or perhaps become unbalanced. The central question, the driving force behind this experiment: what happens to a living system when it's sealed off? What are the limits of a closed ecosystem? We'll see worms work, tirelessly tunneling and enriching the soil, plants live or struggle to live within the confines of our jar, and the air inside change. The atmosphere will shift as the organisms interact. This experiment demonstrates the flow of energy from the sun to the plants to the worms, cycling of nutrients as waste breaks down and feeds new life, and the need for balance. A balance that can be easily disrupted. Let's get our hands dirty and build our world. Let's create our own little ecosystem and see what happens. Science is everywhere, even in a simple jar. It's about asking questions and observing the world around us. Let's begin. Let the experiment commence. To start this fascinating experiment, we need a clear glass jar. It's important that the jar is clean and free of any residue that might interfere with our little ecosystem. And crucially, it needs a tight-fitting lid. This will transform our jar into an observation dome, a closed environment where we can study the interactions of life. The foundation of our ecosystem is rich, loamy soil. This isn't just any dirt. It's a carefully selected medium packed with the nutrients and structure our organisms need. It's teeming with life itself, full of bacteria and fungi, the unseen workforce that drives decomposition and nutrient cycling. These microorganisms are the unsung heroes of our miniature world. First, we'll add a layer of pebbles to the bottom of the jar. This serves as a crucial drainage layer, preventing the soil from becoming waterlogged and creating an anaerobic environment. Then we'll carefully fill the jar about halfway with moist soil. The amount is important. We want to leave enough space for the other elements of our ecosystem. The moisture content of the soil is vital, not just for the worms, but also for the moss, ensuring they have the hydration they need to thrive. Next, we'll gently place clumps of living moss on top of the soil. The moss will act as a miniature forest floor, contributing to the humidity and overall aesthetic of our terrarium. Remember, moss thrives in humid, low-light environments, so we'll need to keep that in mind when choosing a location for our jar. And importantly, moss photosynthesizes, using sunlight to convert carbon dioxide into energy and releasing oxygen as a byproduct. The big question is, will the moss produce enough oxygen to sustain the worms within our closed environment? That's a key part of our experiment, to see if this balance can be achieved and maintained. Now, we carefully add 3 or 4 healthy earthworms to the jar. These little guys are the recyclers of our ecosystem. It's important not to overcrowd them. We want to give them enough space to move and thrive. Watch closely as they begin to burrow into the soil, aerating it and enriching it with their castings. Soon, they'll be disappearing from view, becoming part of the hidden world beneath the surface. Once they're settled into their new home and seem comfortable, we carefully screw the lid on tight, sealing our little world. And with that, the experiment officially begins. We've created a sealed, self-contained system, a miniature biosphere. Inside this jar, the worms, the moss, and the countless microbes will all interact in a closed loop, a delicate dance of life and decomposition. The clock is ticking, marking the passage of time within our sealed world. How will this tiny world change over days, weeks, and even months? We're now set to carefully observe the delicate balance of life, air, and moisture within. Every detail matters in this miniature ecosystem, from the condensation on the glass to the color of the moss. Will the system thrive, creating a self-sustaining haven of life? Or will it struggle, succumbing to imbalances and environmental pressures? Let's watch closely and find out what secrets this tiny world holds. Our glass globe is alive, a dynamic and ever-changing microcosm. At least for now, its fate hangs in the balance. The observation starts now, and the journey of discovery begins. On day 1, the terrarium is a picture of perfect order. The jar looks pristine, a miniature world waiting to awaken. Every layer meticulously placed, every element ready to play its part. Layers of gravel form the foundation, providing drainage and aeration. This is where the water will collect, preventing the soil from becoming waterlogged. Soil, rich and dark, provides the nutrients and structure for the moss to thrive. It's the lifeblood of this tiny ecosystem. And a green moss carpet, a vibrant splash of color, covers the surface. It's a miniature forest floor, ready to support life. The worms vanish into the earth, disappearing into their new domain. They are the silent architects of this world, leaving only small holes behind, subtle evidence of their subterranean journey. These tiny openings are the gateways to a hidden world. Condensation forms on the glass, a sign of the moisture within. It's the beginning of the water cycle, the breath of this enclosed world, showing a mini water cycle at work, evaporating and condensing, sustaining the life within. This constant cycle is essential for the ecosystem's survival. By day 2, faint tunnels appear against the glass, a roadmap of the worms' explorations. The landscape is already changing. Evidence of worm activity, a testament to their tireless work beneath the surface. They are the engineers of this miniature world. The worms are searching for food, breaking down organic matter and enriching the soil. They are the recyclers of this closed system, mixing and aerating the soil, creating pathways for air and water to reach the roots of the moss. This is vital for healthy growth, a process called bioturbation, where living organisms alter the physical and chemical properties of the soil. The soil is no longer static, it's a dynamic environment, constantly being reshaped by the worms. It's dynamic and changing, a living, breathing entity. The worms are transforming the soil from the inside out. By day 3, tunnels multiply, a complex network spreading throughout the soil. Forming a web throughout the soil, a hidden infrastructure supporting the ecosystem. This intricate network is essential for nutrient distribution. Worm castings, tiny pellets of digested soil, appear, enriching the earth with their valuable nutrients. Enriching the earth, providing essential elements for the moss to flourish. These castings are a natural fertilizer, fueling the ecosystem's growth. The moss above looks greener, more vibrant, a sign of its health and vitality, benefiting from the nutrients below, thriving in this carefully balanced environment. The moss is a visual indicator of the ecosystem's health. The water cycle continues, a constant flow of moisture sustaining the life within. Condensation appearing and disappearing, a delicate dance of evaporation and precipitation. This cycle is the lifeblood of the terrarium. The system seems balanced, a harmonious interplay of living and non-living elements. Worms till the soil, moss photosynthesizes, water cycles, each playing a crucial role in the ecosystem's function. But the air inside is limited, a finite resource that must be carefully managed. This balance can't last forever. It's a delicate equilibrium that can easily be disrupted. Every day, the ecosystem shifts, adapting to the changing conditions within the jar. Even if it looks stable, subtle changes are constantly occurring beneath the surface. We're witnessing life in motion, a dynamic process of growth, decay, and renewal. But the clock is always ticking, and the resources are finite. The ecosystem is on a countdown. How long can this balance hold? How long before the limited resources are exhausted? By week 2, the worms' role as recyclers is clear. Dead leaves placed on the moss are pulled underground by the worms. They shred and mix the leaves into the soil, kickstarting decomposition. Bacteria and fungi finish the job, breaking down organic matter. The soil darkens and becomes richer where decomposition is most active. Worm castings increase, providing fertilizer for the moss. The moss thrives, lush and green thanks to this nutrient cycle. It's a symbiotic relationship. Worms break down waste, moss produces oxygen, but decomposition consumes oxygen too. The moss adds a little, but worms and microbes use more. Oxygen is being depleted faster than it's replaced. The system looks healthy, but the invisible clock is speeding up. Around 2 weeks in, the worms' behavior changes. They appear on the soil surface during the day, sluggish and seeking air. Some try to climb the glass, desperate for oxygen near the lid. The soil below is becoming anoxic. Oxygen is running out. The moss starts to yellow and brown, stressed by low oxygen and high carbon dioxide. The whole system is suffocating silently. Condensation increases and the air looks hazy. Oxygen consumption has outpaced production. The worms are in a race against time they can't win. The thriving ecosystem is now in decline. By week 3, the jar is grim. The worms lie motionless, victims of asphyxiation. Their tunnels are empty, the ecosystem's engineers gone. The moss turns brown and slimy, dying in toxic air. Without worms, the soil compacts and waterlogs. Anaerobic bacteria take over, producing foul-smelling gases. The nutrient and water cycles break down. The jar becomes a tomb, a failed world sealed off. It's a stark lesson in the fragility of life and the need for balance. Every living thing needed oxygen. Once it was gone, collapse was inevitable. The interconnectedness that once sustained life now ensures its end. The silence inside the jar is a powerful reminder. No life survives long in isolation from the larger world. What did we learn from our sealed jar? An earthworm's skin is a marvel, but it needs constant oxygen. Every creature in the jar competed for the same limited air. We saw worms as ecosystem engineers, moss as oxygen producers, and a brief, beautiful balance. Ecosystems are networks. When one part fails, the whole system unravels. Our jar is a metaphor for Earth, a closed system with finite resources. The health of our planet depends on balanced cycles. Consuming resources faster than they're replenished leads to collapse. The story of the worms is a story of limits and carrying capacity. Observing this process deepens our appreciation for life's fragility. It challenges us to consider our impact on our own glass globe. Science is about asking questions and learning from simple experiments. What can you learn from the world in your own backyard?